JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 22nd, 9 o'clock. Gonna be a really quick rant. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P futures. We're in the red. SPY all the way down exactly at 580 at 830, and have since bounced back into the green. Yesterday, I mean, frustrating day, I guess you would call it. Markets chopped around in the red for most of the morning, then into the afternoon. Then 1 o'clock, that 20-year auction came out, and it wasn't even like a horrible auction. It just kind of added more angst to what's going on with the yields in Japan, the Moody's downgrade, the credit rating downgrade, and then this tax bill, which is going to add trillions of dollars in a deficit. So, I mean, it's nothing new. I keep saying it's nothing new. I mean, this argument around the national debt has been there forever, right? I mean, who remembers? Well, not remembers because it's still there. The national debt clock in New York City. I forget where it was. I think it was down on 14th Street a long time ago. I think they've moved it, but it used to show how much each citizen their share of the national debt was, and that was back in like the 1990s. And back then, I think the national debt was under 10 trillion. Now it's multiplied, right? It was nearly 29 trillion dollars. So, I mean, that's always going to be there. It's just a difference of what our debt, the U.S. debt, is to the GDP. And back then, it was only 30, 40%. Now it's over 100%, right? 122% or whatever. And then as rates go up and yields rise, obviously it's more expensive for the U.S. to finance their debt, and it's already surpassed the U.S. defense budget. So I mean, there's all these things, but these are not new topics, right? These are old, not old, but they're current because it's ongoing. Something's going to have to change at some point, right? It's got to be either budget surpluses. You either got to bring in more tax revenue, you got to cut expenses, and all those things. So the argument would be made that one side says, well, we can spend we can have a budget deficit, but we're gonna, because of the tax cuts and all that other stuff, it's gonna bring in more tax revenue and offset that. And arguments be both sides. And then the tariffs are gonna bring in more tax revenue, but then the tariffs might slow demand, raise prices, and so there's all these different dynamics at play. So, needless to say, I continue to remain cautiously optimistic. I mean, we'll start to get hard data today. 10 o'clock's the PMI for May. Well, that'll be kind of like the first kind of hint of some of this hard data. So hopefully it comes on someone in line and yields can kind of stabilize. I posted this from the Wall Street Journal. It's funny how this week feels like there's a news vacuum, right? There hasn't been a lot of headlines. The trade agreement with the U.S. and China was the big news the previous week, and it's almost like these trade deal news headlines, it's like they're in the back burner now. And I mean, who knows? I don't even know if there's agreements made, and hopefully there's one with Vietnam soon and what have you, that it will move markets too much, right? So almost feels like this vacuum is being filled with these headlines, and the yields was the one. Then last night, you read in the Wall Street Journal has an article. Oh, Walmart's cutting 1,500 jobs, and then and then MarketWatch reiterates it and says it's because of tariffs, to fight tariffs. And then you read the article said Walmart's just doing normal, repositioning of structure, right? I mean, any good organization you change, right? And especially most times when they're cutting, you don't cut the face-to-face person who's with the customer. You cut the higher end layers of hierarchy that have been added on over the years that probably need to get cut and then redeploy them. So they said that, and then they also had the Nike after the close yesterday, raising prices, sneakers, $100 or 5%, $5, 150 above $7 or, and then they cite the tariffs, but then Nike says it's part of our seasonal pricing program. So whatever you want to lead it to, it just makes clickbait fodder, right? FUD fodder. That's what I call it, FUD fodder. And I'm not saying you dismiss them, but same with the yields. But at some point, right? So I guess the tipping point for the 10-year is going to be 5%, right? If the yields go over 5% on a 10-year, I think that'll be the worrisome point. But for now, 586 to 597 was the range I thought we'd get this week. We got close to 597, got under 586. So she broke 586. I got some spec calls on SQQQ. And now you worry if we don't get back over 586, 577 is the next key spot to watch. I was hoping for a 600 test before the holiday weekend. That doesn't look like it's going to be happen, but hopefully find some support here. PMI comes in a decent, and then we can have some playable trades until the end of the week. And the bears don't start sniffing blood, because I think if we get under 577, it's like what kind of catalyst can really move markets in the next week or so. So that's kind of like the concern there. But again, put it into reality here. 30-year yields, you see all the headlines, but it's only hitting highs not seen since 2023, at the end of 2023 October, right? So that kind of helps put it in perspective. And again, the 10-year, not levels not seen since February. So I'm not saying to dismiss them. I put that whack-a-mole meme up yesterday I mean, we still got to whack that yield meme. That we got to whack them all the yields, and then I'll be on to some other potential headwind. All right, so that's overall marks. Just really quick on some individual names. And if the SPY shows weakness, I think under 580, I'll be looking at some spec put positions possibly. I mean, first, obviously, the SQQ calls, and then possibly some other names like ServiceNow, Lam Research, maybe even Broadcom. Some of those names, monster runs. I'm not saying they're not going to bounce at some point, but I think there's opportunities if the market does find weakness that they might pull back a little bit. So that's kind of thought process. Now, quick individual names. Baidu. I mean, I was talking around the rant yesterday afternoon. Well, yesterday morning at this time, I thought I'll play some spec calls for an overshoot on earnings. It really didn't move much. I thought it was a great report. Sure enough, it spikes out of the open. I got some calls, closed them out for 100%, and then it started to break down back under 90. It closed the rest out, and then boom, all the way down to 85 bucks. So now I'm like thinking maybe the growth story of Baidu, it's like never going to happen again, right? Maybe it's just not even going to be a value stock anymore. So I just I'll probably not, put this on my do not trade list for a little while and maybe revisit at some point, but just disappointing. Yeah, so I'll move on to that one. Deckers reports earnings after the close today. Ralph Lauren actually had a decent quarter here this morning. I was hoping, the plan was to lock some calls in to cover costs, ride the rest into earnings. I didn't get that chance, and now the calls are in the red, so I'll probably just hold on to them. I think a beat and raise and the stock's over 150. Call me crazy. It's had some volatile moves in the past, especially since its big pull from over 220 bucks, I think was last earnings. So in line, it probably is in the red. And if it has a beat, if it has a miss and lower guidance or even just lower guidance, stock probably trades under 110. So me, I like scenario number one. I like the risk reward spec call, so I'll hold those. Disappointing new tax bill. They're rolling back those credits, the incentives for storage, solar, the green initiatives, all that fun stuff, the rebates. So that's all getting pulled back. That was the last iteration of tax bill. Who knows how that all sorts out? But unfortunately, the solar names, the Solar Edge, getting pummeled this morning. Tough one. I still have my June freebies, but frustrating. Should I have locked them all in at some point? I don't know. I still think at some point it's going to squeeze. This is probably a breather until things get sorted out. I'm not going to add any more strikes here, but disappointing. If there's any name that should have ran yesterday, well, not any name, but one of the names you think would run with Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, you think GameStop, right? It just boggles my mind that this is really not starting to take off. Still going to be patient. Once it breaks 30, I'll add some more strikes here, but kind of frustrating. It's like, come on, Ryan Cohen, get your act together. And then other names, Reddit just taking on the chin, another downgrade. It's under the lower Bollinger Band, so 99.60 is a lower Bollinger Band. It all the way down to 90.49 yesterday. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I would love to get some more calls here on Reddit. I mean, it's been a great cash cow over the last couple of weeks. Market finds some footing. Don't be surprised if I play some calls for move. Maybe, well, let's see where it is. It was just under 94, 95. Now it's at 97. So the 100s are probably not as good on a risk reward basis, but don't be surprised they have some spec calls there. And then ServiceNow. So you take a look at ServiceNow, big earnings. I mean, it got destroyed last earnings, only down from 1,200 down to 700 in a matter of a couple months. Then boom, great bounce quarter all the way up over $1,000. And now you look, I'm like, maybe an opportunity. This could be a short, one of those lotto put plays for today into tomorrow if the market finds some pressure. I'm like 50-50 here. I'm optimistic, so I think there'll be some bounce opportunities. I thought yesterday would be a gap down, and it almost looked like we were going to get that at 8:30. So because of that, if I prefer a gap down and bounce as opposed to like a green open here today, and maybe the bears come in and sell us down. So maybe the ideal scenario here, we get a sell at the open down to 580 or 578 or so, and then we bounce. If that doesn't happen, is obviously we break 577, I'll be getting the spec puts. But if we do start to bounce, I'll look for some spec lottos here today. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.